Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of One Piece manga chapter 868, and Oda delivered quite a good chapter this week. I really liked this one. I thought there was a lot of work put into it, which I always respect when you can tell that there's a bit more work or effort put into something, and this was really a pretty content-heavy chapter, really. But I'll just go ahead and start talking through some parts from the beginning before breaking down certain things that I really wanted to talk about and discussing certain aspects. But in the beginning, we have a good Cavendish cover. I've really liked these covers, so that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm really interested to see where they keep going with this, how much longer we'll stick with Cavendish, but I've really liked these. So starting off in the chapter proper, we have the information that two people saw the Mother Caramel incident. One was a warrior of Elbaf who went and told the giants, and there was one panel there with, it looked like Yorl's helmet and all, his grave or whatever, but it looked like the other two helmets, I couldn't quite tell, so I didn't want to say for sure, but they kind of look like Dory and Brogie's helmets. I was wondering if they were graves for them since the giants, since they left and haven't returned for like 50 some years. Either way then, moving along, the other one was a chef and former ruined pirate, Streusen, and man was I not expecting Streusen to play this sort of important role. Apparently he had the cook fruit, which lets him turn random items into ingredients, which makes a scene that we had a few chapters back, I think, where they're making the cake and he's like, bring me this and bring me that, and he's naming these inanimate objects, and we're like, ooh, they're cooking that? What does that have to do with the cake? Now we know he's turning those objects into ingredients, which I think is very interesting. And apparently he and Charlotte built the Big Mom Pirates together, and they translated her name as Charlotte Rinrin, and I think the reason for that is because in one of the backgrounds we have the Wanted posters, and the Wanted poster it was spelled Charlotte Rinrin. I'm not sure which one I'll stick with. I guess I should start calling her Charlotte Rinrin instead of Lin Lin. Even though we've been calling her Lin Lin, and I think even the official translation has for so long, I guess we should switch to Rinrin since it's on the Wanted poster. Suppose that's how it has to go. Then what next? Big Mom pretty much made the island they were on with the Lamb's house. From what we can see, it looks like it is Whole Cake Island. I had heard some other people had brought that up, that the hills and everything, it looks like Whole Cake Island. And I think it'd be interesting even how everything looks like it's made of cake and everything now. What if Streusen just used his power to turn things into food? What if he used his power to just turn the island into cake? And that would explain why there are rivers of juice and stuff. He just used his power to turn the river into juice. And he did similar things for all of these other islands around them. I haven't heard anybody bring that up, but that would explain this isn't some just natural country made of sweets or something. They actually used his power to turn the nation into candy. I think that is where I would go with this, or not necessarily candy, just sweet food in general. Then she took over some other countries violently we saw in her past. And I just now noticed with this panel of her taking over the countries, Prometheus's face, every time we've seen it, like the structure, the lines, and the way its smile looks, because I noticed with its smile, so I went back and looked, and just the facial features in general, Prometheus looks a lot like Mother Caramel, like they have the same face. So I'm wondering if it's like Mother Caramel made the sun or whatever, that she called it Pandora or whatever. So I wonder if when Big Mom made Prometheus for the first time, maybe she used Mother Caramel's soul for that, because we know she ate Mother Caramel. I don't know if that means she absorbed her soul or something, but either way, just so many interesting things brought up in the past two chapters. And I just noticed as well that if she ate a person and gained their devil fruit power, people have been wondering how Blackbeard has multiple devil fruit powers. It brings up as well that Blackbeard could have just eaten part of Whitebeard. They put the cloak over him or whatever. What if he just ate? And of course, the obvious thing to go for, I would say, he could... I don't think just eating a part of him would do it. I mean, generally in any kind of anything, the heart is seen like the central part of the body or whatever. Maybe he just ate his heart, or maybe he had to eat his stomach because that's where the devil fruit went to. But either way, maybe that's the secret, and maybe that's why they put the cloak over him, one, because of the taboo of cannibalism, and two, because they didn't want the information of how it's done getting out there, which I think is kind of what most of us figured anyway. So maybe he just ate a part of his body, and maybe that allows you to get more than one devil fruit power through cannibalism, because a devil fruit can only exist in one body, but if you're eating somebody else's body, you're kind of taking in another person's body. So it's kind of a BS explanation in a little bit of a way, but it is an explanation. So that could maybe explain the way that Blackbeard gets multiple devil fruits, is that he cannibalizes people. That's just a guess of mine, though, based on all of this. And I'm sure millions of people by now have probably had the same guess, since it's a pretty simple conclusion for a lot of people to come to. So yeah, also, back on my original point, I think Prometheus may have some relation to Mother Caramel, and that may come into play later, just because their faces look oddly similar. We see that the KX launcher rockets actually get destroyed by her scream, or this sort of aura around her before they actually reach her. Katakuri makes earplugs, all the Straw Hats are trying to escape, the mirror breaks like most people assumed it would. The Straw Hats are then surrounded, Capone becomes a castle, which I said something similar before, that I'm in one of my reviews or something, where I was like, hey, you could just become a castle probably, or I was like, is Capone the castle? And there was at least one person trying to argue that why would he be able to become a castle? Obviously he had the castle fruit. Pretty much any devil fruit that people have had, whether it's Logia, Zoan, Paramecia, whatever, they have been able to transform into whatever their devil fruit is, for the most part, unless it's something like rubber with, well, I guess he does, I guess Luffy does just transform into rubber at all times, his body is rubber. So yeah, I was like, of course he can just turn into a castle. We even saw it with the tank treads he transformed onto his body before. But what this brings up is, where can this possibly go? What can they possibly do to survive this? So I'm thinking, at least if they go inside Capone, they can have at least a little bit of time to, like, catch their breath and everything. Maybe Capone's crew can be firing cannons and guns out of openings on the body or whatever to try to fight back and hold them off. And they're probably just going to have to think of a new strategy of what's going to go on while they're in there. Or maybe you can just stand up and fight like a giant Capone mecha of castle stone. Lots of different ways that this could go, and I wonder as well if he could imbue that body while it's in that form with Haki or not. It makes sense that he'd be able to, but that's like a huge body, so I don't know like if it would be strained or not as effective. And even then, because I'm like, if he can't cover it with Haki, then couldn't they just punch straight through him? I mean, we've seen people like, we saw Sanji kicking down building walls in like Alabasta. So people at this stage can just be demolishing actual buildings. Either way though, some other thing, that's just some of the stuff that makes me think of. Also though is they may try to go get to Germa, because now presumably we have the Vinsmokes that are going to be helping the Straw Hats. We have Germa, that's an entire country, a clone army, that's parked right by Whole Cake if they can make it there. Like if Capone can say, everybody get inside my body, and then run off as Castle Man to try to make it to Germa. That could also be possible. So yeah, I thought it was a great chapter. I thought it was pretty unexpected to see Streusen having this big of a role in the story. I thought the art was really great, and I loved the depth of content, the way we had so many 2-page spreads. Yeah, so I guess that's it. A lot of questions raised, a lot of ways to go next episode, or next chapter, and we're not on break next chapter, which is great. So yeah, either way, I would give it a 9 Big Father versus Big Moms out of 10, because that is what we realize we're getting next week. We're getting Big Father versus Big Mom. But yeah, so either way, 9 out of 10. I thought it was a damn good chapter this week. Either way, like, if you did like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of this week's chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it and all that. Subscribe for more One Piece, both anime and manga, much more. We're doing a double anime review this weekend because I didn't review last week's yet. follow on Twitter if you want to try to talk to you there and keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. That is it. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.